technology always saves time or wastes time? The other doctor said that Patrick has lots of time for this paper, and we'll have some questions about the two papers. Now we'll do them.
Right, finally is up. Okay, as mentioned just now, my name is Patrick. I'm from Singapore, and I'm currently doing my thesis on this subject, as you see here. It is on examining the meditation system passed down by the Supreme Patriarch, or the Sankara, Sukai Thuyan, as a living tradition at Wat Raja, Singapore. Now, to introduce you to the background of the topic, during the pivotal period in Thai history, when the old capital, Ayutthaya, was destroyed by the Burmese in 1767, and the rise of the Omburi and the Ratanakosi eras, there was a forest monk by the name of the Venerable Suk, who was gaining prominence and popularity. He was known to attract wildfowls or wild chickens to his residence due to his dispensation of metta, or loving kindness. As a result, he was known as Sukai Thuyan, or wild chicken soup. The founders of the early Bangkok period tried to tame him and harness his charisma by inviting him to reside at the new capital, then known as Wat Phra, currently known as Wat Raja Sitaram. He was appointed as the head of the meditation instruction. He was made the Supreme Patriarch in 1820, and also he was the meditation instructor to the kings Rama II, 3rd, 4th, when they were ordained in the early 20s. Thus, it cannot be denied that he played an important part in the establishment of the early Bangkok period. However, 200 years later, in our current time, the meditation system propagated by him and popular during that period can hardly be observed in the contemporary Thailand today. It is noted that this venerable monk carried with him several manuscripts recording ancient meditation practices thought to exist since the time of Ayutthaya. He carried it to protect it from the Burmese armies who had destroyed the temples and burned down the libraries. Today, it is the only meditation system taught at Wat Raja Sitaram. Now, my aim is to examine the living tradition of this meditation system passed down by the Supreme Patriarch and currently taught in the temple. The methodology I've been using for the past few months is I became a disciple of the meditation instructor in the temple, currently for the past 5 months now. I also examined publications produced by the temple. I conducted interviews with practitioners, such as the monks, menchis, and the lay people, and also examined existing academic literature, such as those produced by Dr. Catherine Newell and my supervisor, Dr. Mano. For the purposes of this presentation, I will probably introduce a background of the meditation system, also a background of the practitioners, how they came into contact with it and their impressions. Also, the discourse used by the practitioners to justify their commitment to the practice and how they see it vis-a-vis other meditation systems. Now, for the technical aspects of the system, it is called the Majjhima meditation system by the practitioners of the temple. It is intricate and complex, comprising of many rooms or hong in Thai, aimed to build up one's concentration abilities before advancement to insight. According to what is being taught, there are 13 levels for samatha and 9 levels for vipassana. Here's a breakdown of the levels for samatha meditation, altogether 13. It can be divided into the basic foundation, which is the first 3 stages, followed by the development of the form absorptions, the next 4 to 8 stages, and 9 to 13 is the development of the formless absorptions. Okay, following which the practitioner will then move on to the development of insight. Now, for the advancement to the next level, there is a need for the practitioner to have the correct vision, limit, and the correct experience. And the instructor will then determine, based on his own personal experience and knowledge from his predecessors, whether to qualify the practitioner to the next stage. However, The practitioners and the temple publications do not reveal about the characteristics of the visions or the experiences. It is considered esoteric. And according to them, they claim that the purpose is to prevent one from imagining these visions instead of actually experiencing them firsthand. Each level also comprises exercises to train the mind so that it gains its strength and is able to eventually conduct insight. Now, I actually extracted these diagrams you can see here from the temple publications. I know it looks kind of cool, right? So anyway, I placed these diagrams here. I asked the meditation instructor what they meant. He was not willing to tell me how you actually get to this stage. But from what I understand, based on instructions given by the instructor, the mind apparently moves in semicircular loops, and you're supposed to train the mind by moving them in the circular or in the vertical manner, as you can see here. So this shows the first room on the development of the Itiha, or the 5 lectures. Right? The next room, the third room, is the development of the 6 pairs, followed by the next room, which is the development of the pleasurable concentration. Now this marks the foundational stages of the meditation system. For each of these 3 stages, there is a test using a monastic device. Now the monastic device is a bowl, as you can see here, and a candlestick supported on the bowl. And on the candlestick, they actually laid weights attached to the bowl. And when the candle burns, the weights actually drop onto the metal bowl, producing a third sound. And when you are in a state of meditation, it's meant to train your mind so that it is not distracted from the sound that's produced. At the same time, the sound is meant for the practitioner to move his mind according to some of the points that he's meant to focus on the body. Another aspect of the meditation system is the healing modality. Upon reaching the 4th level, or rather after passing those 3 levels, the practitioner is qualified to learn the healing techniques. It is, however, not a required field of study, but taught on request. According to this modality, the healing body consists of 9 bases that are aligned according to the path of the breath from the tip of the nose to the navel. The 9 bases have specific characteristics and attributes, and by directing one's attention to any of them individually or in a specific combination, one is able to rectify various physical, emotional, and mental conditions. Okay, I actually got this from the temple publication, right? It shows the 9 points and the attributes. Now, this healing modality is similar to the concept of wind, as you get, or energy in various cultures and civilizations. By moving the mind along the 9 bases, one is able to facilitate the movement of wind or lung. Illnesses due to the stagnancy of wind in the body, which might not circulate properly due to blockages as a result of various emotional and mental distress. This is also related to the practice of Indian Ayurvedic medication or medicine. Similar concepts to the manipulation of energy along the invisible lines, as you can see in Thai massage. Here are some of the treatments that can be used for physical, emotional, and mundane concerns. These are actually all extracted from the manuscript that was carried by the Venerable Sukhaitya, and they were translated by Dr. Mano in his thesis. Okay, for example, in the case of 2 common ailments like diarrhea and constipation, the manuscript also tells you how to focus, or which days to focus on in combination to rectify these problems. Okay, moving on. Now, the purpose of my study is to understand this meditation system, not just from the manuscript, but also as a living tradition. As such, I actually went down, of course, I went down to the temple and I tried to observe and make any interesting observations of the layout. Okay, this is an aerial view of the temple. I got it from Google Map. It shows the main uboso, or the main also, or the ordination hall here, surrounded by what appears to be little huts. These are actually meditation cooties, as you can see here. Yeah, as you can see here, these are the meditation huts. These are the meditation huts that are located around the ordination hall. And they were used in the early Bangkok period. They were built by King Rama III. They are not used today, as seen in the padlocks that are currently at the door. There's also a shrine dedicated to the Venerable Sukhaiten, and is guarded by Mechi on duty. I spoke to her. She's currently about 80 over years of age. And she mentioned that she has not seen anyone use the meditation huts since she first arrived at the temple around the 1960s. Walking around the temple, you would see meditation huts that were used by the kings in the past to develop their meditation. For example, the one on the left was used by King Rama III, and the one on the right by King Rama IV. And according to temple discourse, they say that the kings in the past, they would develop their mind according to the Majjhima meditation system. But since they only had a short duration of time to develop meditation, I think they were ordained for one pansa, or one rains retreat. So the monks would teach them the first 3 levels of the Sukhaiten meditation system. Presently, the only place that teaches meditation in the temple is Kanaha, or section 5 of the temple. It is located in an obscure northeastern corner of the main temple. And currently, there are 10 sections that are located in the temple. I was told that in the past, these sections all used to teach meditation, but the teachers have passed away with no successor. Now, most of them teach the scriptures and Pali studies. This is a layout of Kanaka, which teaches the meditation system currently. I drew this on the Microsoft PowerPoint. It shows meditation rooms, 2 meditation rooms that are used by practitioners to develop meditation. Here. Here's some pictures taken of the Kanaka, showing the front gate, the ground floor. There's also a museum that is built by the instructor of the meditation system. It is located on the 7th floor. And there's a room opposite it, which is the initiation room. Right? These are the meditation rooms. It's not that big. There's probably 2 rooms are probably the size of this room that we're sitting in right now. Alright, moving on. When I first arrived at the temple, I realized that one important aspect of the meditation system is the initiation procedure. It is called the Kun Kamatan ceremony, which is the first step before learning the Majjhima meditation system. It was traditionally performed on Thursdays because it is the day dedicated for teachers. The ceremony will last for half an hour, followed by meditation. It is also important to do the pre and post meditation chants before and after meditation. And for beginners who first learn the Majjhima meditation system, they have to focus 2 finger grasps below the navel, reciting Butto while breathing in and out. I was told that it was necessary for the generation of energy, which is the foundation for later meditational practices. And also I was told that the navel area is believed to be the nucleus of the body, where 4 elements congregate in spheres. Now, like the presentation that was done by Jack just now, he mentioned that the Dhammakaya meditation has a similar philosophy of 4 elements in spheres located around the navel. An interesting slide here is I'll show you that one. It's not really working. Alright, this picture shows the initiation procedure. Okay, that's me on the right. Yeah. Right, it lasted for half an hour. The initiation procedure, there are actually instruments used for the initiation procedure. It comprises of lotus flowers, candlesticks, and pork rice in little cups, which are arranged in rows of 5. Now, each row is meant to represent the triple gem, right, the tree, the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, and the additional 2 to the meditation instructor, as well as to the meditation system, or the Prakramata. I was told that this was performed since the days of Sukhothai. Based on my personal experiences, I went there about 3 times weekly to learn meditation from the instructor. Each session would commence from about 15 minutes to as long as 3 hours on some days. For my personal observations, any person who actually went to do meditation would relate their experiences to the teacher after every session. And he would be asked if he or she has seen any inner signs of the meaning. This was done in private and not shared to anyone. And the teacher would then give personal advice on how to advance further. He would also advise the practitioners to practice at home and give a phone call to relate their experiences to him. I realized that unlike other meditation centers, it is very individual activity. It is not really performed as a group. The only time when there are more people is during the Year 1 Prak or the Year 1 Magha Puja or important festivals, but usually not more than 20 or 30 people each time. People also come at different times of the day. There are no scheduled group sessions. Each individual is at different levels of the meditation system, and the instructor would make periodic checks in the rooms in case there are questions or problems encountered. Now, something about the meditation instructor. He's called Way Ray. He is the sole instructor of the system in Kณะ 5. He was taught by his biological father. He is also believed to have passed the highest levels of the system and is the most qualified to teach. He has also tried to propagate the system. For example, he constructed a small museum in 1997 containing historical artifacts and items of the Venerable Sufi, as well as aspects of the meditation system. He's also written a few books about the technical aspects of the meditation system, healing modalities, and biography of the Venerable Sufi. He also says that there is a need to promote this system because it is in danger of extinction. I also interviewed a few monks and lay people. Now, from a sample of, let's say, 20 people, most of them actually discovered the meditation via their friends, family members. They have just begun practice, and they have not actively tried the systems before, and are currently in the basic levels. A few of them actually knew about the system because of the physical proximity of the temple to their homes. And a few others also tried searching for a right meditation for the system for themselves. They found this meditation method through their friends. Now, how is this system perceived by practitioners, or what is this course used by them? I realized that a lot of the practitioners try to justify their practice in opposition to other meditation schools. Understanding this, I believe, would provide insights into the debate on what constitutes right Buddhist practice. Now, the discourse is as follows. The practitioners claim that it is a technique taught during the time of the Buddha, passed down to his son Rahu, and transmitted to a lineage of teachers who took it to the lands of Sri Lanka and Suvarnabhumi. It was established in the Mall Empire of the Rati, and then spread to Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, and Burma. According to the practitioners, or according to the instructor, all these places actually engaged in the same meditation system, or the same Majjhima meditation system in the past. For example, there was one day I actually went to see Longpo Viram for meditation, and I asked him about the history of this system. And then he excitedly went to take a book that was produced by this French academic called Francis Bezold. Now, Francis Bezold actually did a few studies on what he called Tantric Theravada, and he wrote this book in French with a front cover showing a lay practitioner using the same monastic device that is used by the Majjhima meditation system. So Longpo Viram claims that, all these practices were actually used in the broader Theravada Buddhist world, which had arrived to this land, this region at the time of King Asoka. It refers to these practices as the Yoga Vachara, and the person or the people who practice them as the Prat Yoga Vachara. Right. Practitioners also claim that other meditation systems which are popular in Thailand today are modified or simplified versions of the complete system that's kept intact by the Venerable Sukai Thuen. They claim that these systems have trimmed certain aspects which they consider unimportant, such as the initiation ritual that we saw just now. They also claim that founders of other meditation traditions, such as Mongposo, Mongpuman, they studied in the temple before, and they adapted the teachings and they started their own villages. They also claim that even the Burmese Vipassana system, which is popular in Thailand today, is also a branch of this meditation system, emphasizing more on the insight rather than on developing concentration to its full extent. They also claim that back then, Wat Rajasikaram, during the time of Rama I, was the center of meditation instruction in the early Bangkok era. Almost all monks who were interested in meditation studied at the temple and were disciples of the Venerable Su. For example, quite a number of the supreme patriarchs, such as the 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 6th, and 7th of the Bangkok era, were disciples of this monk. And also the famous Somdet Prat Chanto was also a disciple studying this same meditation technique. Now, to analyze some of the findings from my observations, I feel that the meditation system passed down by the Venerable Su was once a popular method in the early Thai historical period. It reached its peak in the early Bangkok period because it was supported by the early kings. However, it seemed to have declined in popularity after the 4th reign. It is today considered a dying tradition. Now, some of the reasons are due to the popularity of the meditation movements in the early 20th century, shown in the case of the spread of Thangkai techniques, the Vipassana and others in the 30s, 50s, and henceforth. These meditation systems were less complex, they were simpler, and they were perceived to provide quicker results. Also, at the same time, they were ideologically compatible with the rising middle classes, which arose around the 50s as well. They advocated no need to develop high levels of samatha, as well as focusing on peace and inner tranquility, which are beneficial to the lifestyles of people who are working. However, at the same time, the Majjhima meditation continues to have a niche in Thai society today. It draws practitioners who are attracted to the systematic and personalized method of instruction, and also those who are interested in the practice that is seen as traditionally Thai and practiced in the historical past. It is also able to meet the needs of people who desire to go beyond the needs of rationality as well. At the same time, the system is also in danger of extinction. Why? Because there's only one instructor who is teaching the full system, and also because of the rigidity and the strict requirements in order to become a qualified instructor, and the need to dedicate a tremendous amount of time and commitment to the system. According to Dong Po Wira, there's currently no successor who would actually teach the system after him. It also contributes to the debate on what constitutes right Buddhist practice. For example, there are different opinions on what constitutes right concentration according to the Eightfold Path. How much concentration, how much samatha, how much meditate, how much insight, how much concentration do you use before going on to insight? So we actually see two extremes, the Majjhima meditation and the Burmese Vipassana. However, in the case of the Majjhima, it claims its legitimacy from lineage and tradition, going back all the way to the historical Buddha, as well as a shared history with the rest of the region in the ancient past. In this case, the legitimacy overrides the soul and adherence to textual authority that many contemporary meditation systems are based on. Also observe differences when compared to some of the contemporary meditation movements we see today. For example, as I mentioned earlier, in the Majjhima meditation system, the notion of visions, limits, and mechanical aspects and the higher levels are not revealed. They must be experienced. This is how in contrast to some contemporary meditation schools, where information is revealed openly, such as what you must see, this deva, that deva, this Brahma, and shared with the general public. contemporary schools, it is possible to learn individually via books without the guidance of a teacher, which is, in my opinion, in contrast to the Achima meditation system. Right, this is the end of my presentation. To show the diagram just now, showing the similarities in the conception of what are these spheres, or the elements in the center of the body. So the picture on the left shows a diagram that was extracted from the manuscript carried by the Venerable Sukai. Right? And the one on the right shows the book teaching the Makaya meditation. So it shows a similar conception of the four elements located in the nucleus of the body at the navel.
I have a similar question for both of you. That's about the question of transmission from the teacher. So, first of all, Dr. mentioned the sermons of Paul. But how many things do we have that we actually know he said, and how were they transmitted? Were they written or recorded or remembered? How was his teaching, his actual teaching transmitted?
Professor has a number of students which have become quite famous teachers, and he didn't originally write anything down. There was recording at the time of his sermons, several recordings of his sermons which were typed out and printed in books, in various biographies and works, and a number of Nashi students who have become quite famous teachers, and also monk students as well, which was transmitted to various temples in Thailand, apart from Wat Patna. That answer your question?
And then for Patrick, similar question. You and others have talked about the manuscript of Sukhadja, but as far as I know, it's not actually published. There's no critical edition. And is that shown to others, or is that really just kind of a matter of oral transmission from the teacher only?
The manuscript is not shown to the general public. there are certain excerpts of the manuscript. They're actually translated by the temple, byวยरे, and he actually published them in his books. But it's not the complete manuscript. It seems that he has extracted only certain teachings that are currently being taught in the temple. This is actually the basis of my master's thesis, to understand what changes or what evolution there's been in the teachings from the manuscript to the living tradition.
You have seen the manuscript?
I've seen the translation of the manuscript. That was translated by Dr. Mano. Yeah, because there are actually three manuscripts that were carried and translated, and these three manuscripts were translated into English by Dr. Mano's thesis. And I noticed that some of these manuscripts were actually extracted and adapted to the temple's teachings today.
I noticed on one of your slides you had the term something like beyond rationality or beyond rational. Can you explain maybe something of what you meant by that? Yeah. The desire to go beyond rationality.
I was actually reviewing some of the practitioners, and some of the responses they gave was because of their desire to go beyond rationality. I mean, the notion of experiencing visions in their minds. So, to them, let's say in comparison to other systems that they've been taught, they see it as something mystical. Yeah, and this is one reason why they were attracted to this system. Why do they think so? Because according to them, this system has got a long history. They were actually taught by their teachers or by the instructors. Instructor in the temple that it is a lineage all the way from Buddha, the Lord to the Son. And in this system, they developed the highest levels of concentration or samatha, going up to the highest jhana levels before going to the vipassana or being inside. How to develop it? He did not develop it himself. According to the biography which I've read, it was actually transmitted by his teachers in his forest lineage. So it was used in the time of India, the time of Sudhokai. It was brought from India to the region of Thailand. Yeah, so what Venerable Su did was he actually brought the manuscripts that were part of this ancient tradition, right? And he was invited by King Raman I to reside in a temple in Bangkok. Yeah, and that's where the system was propagated to the society again.
You mentioned in the Machima system, they use the concept of long. Is this explicitly compared to Chinese Qi, breath or energy concept? Is it a direct influence that they refer to? It sounds a lot like Chinese inner alchemy circulation systems.
I mean, the teacher did not say that. I mean, he said it's related to the aspect of wind, or I think it's based on the traditional Indian conception of how wind or energy actually goes to the body. Right? If you compare it to the Chinese systems, they have a similar philosophy as well of qi meaning energy. Right? So, I mean, from my perspective, I think it's based on a similar philosophy, just that it's explained in different terms.
In Machima, is this presented as a visualization exercise? So you're you're working the non through the body mentally as a visualization.
You have to, for healing, you have to reach which stage? Healing stage.
Right?
To reach the healing stage, you said visualizing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why before you actually go on to the healing stage, which is a higher practice, you need to master the foundational practices first. You have to go through the tests of using a holistic device. Because by this stage, you would have already experienced a limit or a vision which represents the mind in a particular stage. And when you have that vision, you can actually move your mind according to the basis. Yeah.
So it's just like it's not alchemy circulation systems.
Yeah, so it's like using your mind to move energy around the body. Yeah.
So it's very similar to the greater and lesser circulation of Taoism, Chinese mineral.
Unexpected.
So they move from the physical to the mental, so it's envisaging breath and then refining breath until it's more and more refined, so it's actually mental energy. It's still chi, of course. Non has a similar kind of ambiguity. It can go from gross physical to refined mental or psychological.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it can be manipulated or moved by not just physical but the mind as well.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
I'm interested in the limits concept, and I appreciate there's some privacy around that. But could you give some examples of that? And I'm more interested in how they would be interpreted, whether it's a sign of a positive progression or a negative regression.
In this system, you actually see the limits that you're meant to see. It is considered a progression in the system. So when you see the right limit, for example, in my experience, when I do the meditation system, after my meditation, the instructor would ask me if I see anything, and if I've seen something correct, I would move on to the next level. If not, I would have to continue sitting and practicing the same system. I mean, the limits are actually mentioned in another Buddhist menus like Path of Purification and other menus. But in this system, it has been passed down orally from teacher to teacher on what kind of limits you're meant to see, what colors and what kind of characteristics you are meant to see and experience.
So what do you mean by see?
In your mind's eye.
So is it visual or is it?
I guess some people will compare it to being in a dream state, but the vision is much clearer.
That's my last question.
For Jack. You mentioned something. Basically, it seemed like we were talking, not you, but Jack. You said somebody took something out of context, basically. You used the word in, they said in, they took it as inside. So if somebody's taking something out of context, how much away from, we just say basically, how much away from Buddhism came from people are taking things out of context? How much of this, do you see some legitimacy? Do you see some many study compared to what might be ago? How far away do you say this might be from standard meditation?
Well, in, as is explained in the commentaries, would refer to inside the human body, maybe human organs, the different parts of the body, or the breath, or the four elements that consist of the human body, etc. Now, Luang Por Sut doesn't deny those interpretation, but extended it. That's what I was trying to explain. He extended it by saying in means the inner minds and bodies as well as what I just mentioned.
special table for the level, please. And I ask the 4 speakers to remain in this room to have some good photo taken. And please come back up to this room at 2:30.